Welcome back to another review by Okie Doke. Today I'm going to be talking about Want to Play by PJ Tracy. But before I do that, I just wanted to mention a couple other books I just read recently. Two more Anne Tyler books. Her first one, If Morning Ever Comes, and A Slipping Down Life. Just briefly, they're only short books as you can see, but I really got into reading Anne Tyler. She is an easy to read author. Her characters and story development are pretty good and I really enjoy that. Hence I kept going back for more. If Morning Ever Comes, that's a story about a young man at university that feels a bit homesick and he wants to go back home to where his family are, his sisters and his mum. And a bit of a story develops back when he's at home. It's just really interesting, some of the characters he gets involved with and how he feels about his family and some rekindled love interest that he had and some secrets that come out as well. The other one, a little bit shorter even, A Slipping Down Life. Again, nicely written, some good characters in there. I like characters that make me quite emotional, whether it be angry, frustrated. There's two characters in here, the two main characters I guess you'd call them. Teenagers. They drive me insane, these two. Just dumb stupid kids doing dumb stupid kid things. So you want to tear your hair out, and I haven't got much to tear out, but I enjoyed it that it made me feel that way and had this effect on me. But it was really nicely written and it's a pretty good story. So I do recommend those two Anne Tyler books. So what can I tell you about this? PJ Tracy. PJ Tracy is actually a duo team, Patricia and Tracy Lambrecht. They're American authors. So pseudonym PJ Tracy. It's their first book written in 2003, and until I did some more research into what other books they've written, I didn't realise that this was part of a series, which is interesting, and I have now ordered the next two in the series so I can read them because I'm interested to see how it actually develops, because reading this I'm not really sure what path anyone's going to be taking and what storylines are going to come up. So, but anyway, about this book, serial killer book, thriller. It involves a couple of jurisdictions in police forces because separate events end up unifying the officers to investigate a certain person. I wondered about this book when I first started because, you know, first story for the author and written 2003, and it tended to follow some of the usual algorithm for writing a story. So initially I was like, oh, okay, we're going to go do this, are we? So I thought it was just going to be much of the same stuff. And in some ways it was. Some of the characters are similar to characters that you read in other books where some of the dialogue's typical, contrived and silliness. But it was a page turner, so I actually really got caught up in the story and I wanted to see what was going on. And I actually did like this story, hence I bought two more of the books. So there's 10 books in the series, in the Monkey Wrench series. And it doesn't really say anything on this book, obviously, because it's the first one they'd written that it mentions anything about it being part of the series, which some books do. Look, the characters, I did like the characters, and PJ Tracy, I'm not sure how they obviously work as authors. I've read other duos before and they seem to work well, so I'm not sure how these two decide whether they work on each line as they go or they write separate chapters and amalgamate them. I don't know. So the story. A couple of very pious religious people get murdered in Wisconsin, so the local police have to investigate that. Meanwhile, there's a geeky team of gamers that have developed a game, and it's a serial killer game and you try to solve the murders. And then a murder happens and another murder happens and another murder happens, and these murders happen to duplicate the murders in the game, and that frightens the developers of the game. It frightens them that much that I guess you'd call it the ringleader of the group, Grace McBride, she blames herself for what's happening. And I just found that a bit strange because you can't blame yourself for what other people do in the world. A murderer chooses to do what they do. So you can't be blaming yourself for causing those deaths. So I thought that was a little bit silly to take that onus on yourself about the murders. There ends up being a connection between the two, and I won't say what it is. I found very early in the book that I had a suspicion, a strong suspicion about one of the people that might have been involved in the murders. Turns out that I was right, but not 100% right. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I was right, but I was also wrong. So, and that was pleasing to actually read that, because I didn't want to be in a position where I thought, oh, I'm pretty sure it's this person, and keep reading through and say, ah, yes, thought so. It's actually had a pretty good, I won't say it's a twist, but, well, I guess it is sort of a twist, but it was a pleasing, a different track in the story that I anticipated. It was pretty well written. Some good graphic details, good descriptions of the locations and the people. A lot of authors typically like to, talk about how the characters are dressed and how they behave, and that's fine because it gives you a good picture in your own head of what that person's like. In some ways, I guess it was trying to cover all the diversity aspects that seem to be so prevalent in today's world, and that's fine too. No one's getting left out. And you'll see, it really does cover a lot of people in this book. It encompasses quite a variety of minorities, as you'll see. I don't mean that in any bad way at all. It's actually pretty good in that regard. If I had to pick on anything in this book, look, there's so minor things. I'm not going to worry about that much. I did like one young fella in the book that he sort of befriended Grace McBride, who's taking everything upon herself, blaming herself. And this little fella, he's a small African American guy, and she sort of saves him from getting beaten up one day, and he sort of, clings to her a little bit. And he calls her out on it. And he said it's bullshit that she's blaming herself, which is exactly right, and I'm glad he said that. There was one part in the book towards the end where a couple of the characters are in a very dark place and they were fumbling their way through the darkness to get somewhere. And I mean, we're talking modern times with mobile phones or cell phones, and we all know that they've got lights, and I'm wondering why they didn't use it. And then I thought, oh, maybe they didn't have them with them, but they did have them with them. So I thought that was a bit of a slip up, because they could have used their phone to guide their way. So overall, the idea of the book is pretty good. The character development and story development was pretty good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I did actually laugh a few times in the book, so there's some comedy aspect to it as well. Yeah, as I said before, interesting characters. You'll see what I mean when they get described through the book. This gamer group, they're all pretty rich and they've been together since university, and they're not quite who they seem to be as that comes out, and you're wondering why they're together. Yeah, it all comes out eventually, which is good, and it didn't feel rushed. The ending didn't feel rushed. I liked that. I have read some books where the ending just seems to be, and then they killed him. This actually works out pretty good. I give it a pretty good rating from my perspective, an 8 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, I'm going to read more of PJ Tracy. Fortunately, the mum, Patricia, died in 2016. So there's 10 books in the Monkey Wrench series. And Monkey Wrench, well, that's the gamer group giving themselves that name, Monkey Wrench, the company. So there's 10 of them in the series. So I don't know if Patricia played a role in all of those, because I don't know when the last Monkey Wrench book came out without looking at it. So I'm assuming she played a role in all those. So yeah, I really recommend this book. And again, I found this one in a $2 bin, which is good. But I have paid more than that for the next two in the series. So PJ Tracy, you're not losing anything on me. Anyway, I recommend the book, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in another review.